No one prepares you for the silence after no contact with your adult children. One day you're texting, "I love you." The next, you're staring at a phone that doesn't ring. That silence, it doesn't just hurt, it haunts you. Be honest. What's been the hardest part of no contact for you when dealing with your adult children?
This is the whole video that you saw the clip from the Oprah show. And for a lot of people, I think that Aaron looked like he's a good dad who just went kind of sideways, and look at all the work he did, and he got a lot of accolades and all of the things. And somewhere in his commentaries since the Oprah show, and unfortunately I didn't screenshot, although I might be able to find a piece somewhere, he alluded to his feelings of, well, that didn't quite come out the way I meant it, kind of thing, because he did get backlash, it looks like, from the estranged parent community, because they don't like accountability, right? They don't like this kind of messaging. They like his messaging that he's been putting out there since the beginning of his platform, where he started talking about estrangements and relationships like that. And for those of us who are estranged adult sons, daughters, and offspring, there are many, depending on where you are in your journey, where this would have felt really good when he started talking about, how he repaired his relationship with his daughter and that sort of thing. And I'm looking over here because I have some notes that I want to bring up. I'm not playing the clips from the Oprah show because I don't want to get zapped for copyright. And so I have to take notes. Normally I don't work with notes at all. I like to be very unscripted. And so getting back to that need that all of us have experienced at one time or another for our parent to show up as accountable and also show up as people who see us as autonomous adults and treat us accordingly, respect our boundaries, become our safe person, and all the things. Those of us, when we're in that place of desire, because I'm not there anymore, that's why I put it this way, he would sound like, oh wow, that's all I've been looking for with my parent. I mean, he went to therapy. Look at all that he's done. Look at the work. Look at the recognition, all of that sort of thing. And this is where, there's so many places that Oprah did the disservice, but this is where she really shows her agenda for whatever benefit she receives from it, which I don't know. There's a lot of speculation out there about, pushing kids back into relationships with their parents and things like that. And I'm not going to get into that part of it. If you know, you can research it on your own, what the speculation around that is. She has a team of producers who went on TikTok and different platforms and decided that, well, these were going to be the people that they feature. And normally when you see somebody who's actually interested in uncovering what's going on behind the scenes, somebody who has the desire to do an investigative piece, which we all knew, I think, that wasn't going to be the case here at all. You would look at the context around what's going on with these estranged parents. And so what she did was her producers threw together the snippets. It looked a certain way. And then instead of formulating questions upon, watching the whole video, watching different things from their platforms, the producers could have created a whole list of questions based on who each of these individuals presented themselves to be and where they were in their relationships and what they're really thinking. And none of that happened. It was a show for the sake of a show that did a lot of damage, in my opinion, to the seriousness and the complexities that cause people in a relationship that is the most sacred relationship on the planet to be estranged. And I say it that way because it is our most primal relationship. It is, I mean, we are born in love with our parents. You know, they're our first voice, especially mom, first heartbeat. We know nothing other than nurturing from them, like all the things, right? And to make it seem like, oh, adult children just need to learn how to communicate. Well, where the fuck would that come from, I wonder? You know, or, I felt like I was back in that place when I used to run away from home before I could actually leave home as an adult, of being looked upon as that spoiled, entitled, belligerent brat who just kept running away and making her parents' life difficult. That's what I feel like this has been thrown back into that lens. Not 100%, but I'd go 90 on it, the way that this all unfolded. And I felt like Oprah basically was practically drinking his bathwater, which is just vile and disgusting. So let's break it down a little bit, and then I'm going to show you some videos of who he is on the whole, and you can decide for yourselves based on his own words, not mine. I'll definitely give you my take on it. I want people to see what wasn't shown. And that's a big part of the reason that I'm pushing back on that particular show. And I do have others on my list that I'm going to cover. Dr. Phil is next. It's just taken me a while to get there because I think I've just been so disgusted by it for such a long time. Okay, I'm going to use my glasses. Oh, they're dirty. Sorry. Oh. The bangs are bugging me. Okay, so Aaron's daughter went no contact with him in 2021, and they had zero contact for 3 years. It sounds like the way that he put things, that the mom had some sort of contact, and then eventually the daughter stopped talking to the mom completely. Again, no questions were asked. I'm taking that from the way that he expressed things. And that's when they doubled down and started calling her roommate. And getting involved there and, you know, trying to find out what's going on and all that sort of thing. So, you know, what that says to me is that they were looking to get information that didn't belong to them at the time. The daughter had created a boundary. She was an adult. And it also says to me that they were in some way, both one, the other, I don't know, trying to pressure their daughter back into the relationship by getting behind the scenes information and weaponizing her roommate. We see this over and over again. This is where certain types of parents turn people into flying monkeys, turn people into monkeys in the middle, because I think the flying monkeys are more intentional and the monkeys in the middle are really just tools. And when parents do this to the person who is supposed to have their adult son, daughter, offspring's back, what they're really trying to do, if for no other way subconsciously, is isolate their offspring into being pressurized into coming back into a relationship with them. They're dividing, they're triangulating, they're weaponizing their trusted person against them. Because now their trusted person who doesn't know likely what's really going on and, you know, is probably thinking, but it's your mom, but it's your dad, because that's the nature of what we think first. And that's how society rolls out about parental relationships with children, not adults, children. We have this sort of lens around it that oftentimes is skewed. Not all of us. I'm we in this society kind of thing. So here's this roommate, likely young, around the daughter's age, maybe didn't have the same experience with her family, now going, you know, your mom and dad are calling me and could you call them, and I'm telling them and whatever. And for all we know, that could have caused a fallout where now this young woman is even more isolated. And the parents aren't thinking necessarily of, ooh, I'm going to isolate you. They're just not caring about the consequences of their actions because they want what they want when they want it. Doesn't that sound a little toddler-like? Yeah. And then let's move into the helicopter parent. What a lovely packaging that was. So like, you know, Dad, you're a helicopter parent and you just want to fix everything. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Like, I would have loved to have a mom or a dad that wanted to fix things. Would we leave from a mom or dad that just merely wanted to be supportive and fix things and help us? He does admit to not listening and trying to do it his way. He softens all of it though. And Oprah doubles down for him. He did the job for him. But didn't you just want what was best for her? She literally said that. Like, you just were trying to be a good parent. Now, Oprah knows what a bad parent looks like because she was estranged from her own mom. But I think that Oprah's lens is her mom was highly abusive and the rest of us are just going through the abuse as it's newly defined. That's the vibe and the theme that I felt that I got from all of that as well. And what my translation of what he said was, not Oprah's, is that he was being overbearing, controlling, not listening, and not giving her room to grow. And yeah, we've all seen it. And his need to control her life was more important than his need to be in a relationship with her. And he did go to therapy and he did learn something. So I'm happy about that. He's learned, as he says, to respect boundaries. I don't know if he worded it that way, but that's the vibe that he gave, right? And to listen. And he did see her point of view and understood that he was being overbearing without actually saying that. But here's where that falls apart for me. He said, but on the other hand, my daughter had to learn that she needed to, wait, I'm not even gonna, because I took a good note on it. Sorry. He basically saying that, our kids also need to learn how to communicate and they can't run from communication and avoid and that sort of thing. So again, ultimately he circled all the way back around and laid it right back at his daughter's feet for not being a good communicator. It's very hard to communicate with people who don't care to listen. And he admitted that as the helicopter parent, he was not listening to her needs. So he outed himself. She was communicating. He wasn't listening. And then he gives this generalized statement to put it back on the kids because he's saving his ass with his posse of estranged parents that he is much more concerned with. I don't know where his relationship truly does or doesn't stand with his adult daughter. It does sound to me, and I'm going to play some videos, that there's been some strife with his son. And there's even a picture or a posting, and I'll put it up and you can decide whether or not you feel the same way that I do. He backhandedly complimented on his son on his graduation while smear campaigning him at the same time. This is not a person who is a healthy parent. I was looking for the right words because I don't like good and bad and black and white and all that. If you've been with me for a while, you know. Incidentally, when he made the remarks about communication, Nedra, I can't think of her last name. That's why I'm using her first name. Here's her full name because I want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. We all know who Oprah is. She should get credit too. Not that she's going to take accountability. I mean, the comments on most of her, from what I've seen so far, podcast videos are turned off. So she's really just interested in being heard, but not hearing what people at large have to say about what she's doing and creating, right? Obviously very one-sided. Nedra said to the audience in general, and she was kind of addressing Christy on more than anything else. And Christy, you could see, is all like her feathers are ruffled. She loves to use that terminology or that phrase. We need to recognize, and she did it so softly and so well, and the way that I would do it in a therapy session with somebody who's struggling with emotional maturity. We need to understand that the way that we come across sometimes, and I'm paraphrasing, can be intimidating, or we have strong personalities. And, so we need to recognize if that person isn't talking to me, what is my part to play in that? Not just that they're afraid and they're bad communicators, but am I creating a safe space for that person to communicate with me? And when you're a child and you've grown up underneath a dictatorship, where you're to be seen and not heard, and respect is crossed with the word obey. They're interchangeable. Silent obedience and compliance and all of that. And now you become an adult and they have the expectation that all of a sudden you're going to know how to communicate with them in a way that is constructive and safe. No, we find our voice for communication because we end up going to therapy and we try to bring that back in. And what happens? They go right back into dictatorship, into the fact that they own us. I brought you into the world and maybe I shouldn't have, and all the things. Well, we communicated, you just didn't want to listen. And the proof is in the pudding, because in relationships where the other person is listening, accounting, adjusting, evolving, growing into the relationship, showing value for the reciprocity that should exist in the relationship, estrangements don't occur. Estrangement is the last resort more times than not, if not all the time. I don't like absolutes, right? So that's why I said it that way. And when Nedra pointed that out, Oprah completely bypassed it, didn't give any credibility to it, nothing. She didn't support it. She went right back into, drinking Aaron's bathwater. I know that's a visual, but if you sorry. Okay, here's another video of Aaron's. I'm going to feature a few. I'm going to comment in and snap them up a little bit. At the end, they will be played in their entirety because I'm not interested in doing what Oprah does, which is take things out of context. Okay? Yeah, I'm snarky sparky today. I am all over it.
Parents. Dr. Coleman said something on the Oprah podcast that stopped me in my tracks. He said when an adult child goes no contact with their parents and then they go on to have children of their own, they're quietly teaching those kids this is an option. This is how you handle a parent when you are hurt. You can cut them off. And I need you to sit with that for a second, because a lot of you watching this are the parents on the receiving end of the no contact. You are the one who raised them, wiped their tears, showed up to the games, worked double shifts, and now you're the one they don't speak to.
Does this sound like the Aaron that you saw on the show? Does this sound like the Aaron who was self-aware, taking accountability, giving understanding to why kids go no contact? Or does this sound like the Aaron who is pandering to his estranged parent audience, and he's not selling anything yet, but he's building out a store because I went to the link in his bio? Does this sound like that, Aaron? Does this sound like consistent messaging to you, that he grabbed onto what Dr. Coleman said, which was fear-mongering, because it's meant to make an estranged adult, offspring, daughter, son, feel like if we do that and then we have children and build a family, our children are going to do that to us. That's the fear-mongering of it. That's the manipulation of it. That's all the things to try to figure out how to keep us in place so we don't lose our children. Instead of acknowledging the fact that when we break the cycles of abuse, it sometimes is necessary to break the cycle from the person or people who are creating that toxic environment for that to grow and fester. And to teach our children that we don't stay in relationships with people who don't treat us well, and it doesn't matter who they are. And if our children grow up and go no contact with us, it's not a reflection of the example that we set by going no contact with our parents. It's a reflection of the example that we set that they don't tolerate relationships with anyone who doesn't treat them well. If we are the parents that they want to be around in their adulthood, it's pretty simple. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, They're going to stay around. Might they separate a little bit to try to have their own autonomy and things like that? That happens. It happens even in the healthiest of families. They, by and large, come back together, though, because you know what's in place? Mutual respect, kindness, care, support, listening. All the things that make relationships work in a collaborative way. What's missing is that, they're no longer, in servitude to us, or, I'm talking about the estranged parents. We're no longer focused on the role of being a parent to a child, but rather being a parent to an adult. And the rules are different there. We're attached to the relationship, as Dr. Gibson said, instead of being attached to the role. And with emotionally immature parents, or people who are emotionally immature, or full on, NPD or BPD, whatever it is, there need to be large and in charge and control through gratitude and recognition of their sacrifice and all of that. Those parents don't become a parent of an adult. They stay the same. They stay in the same role as if their adult son, daughter, offspring is still a child. And that, if it's related to being emotionally immature, it can be adjusted and changed, and we can grow. If it's somebody who has other health disorders and mental health disorders, and they don't want to get help, that's not going to change. One thing is for sure though, if we as parents don't evolve at every stage of our child's life up into adulthood to accommodate their growing and evolving needs and levels of maturity, there are going to be breakdowns in the relationship. Duh. And if we stay stuck on the island of right, well, that's cool, but you're going to be there by yourself. And I speak this way also because I'm not just talking to those of us who are the estranged adult offspring, daughters and sons. I know that I also have a lot of estranged parents who follow me. And I want you to hear this messaging loud and clear, because chances are, if you're following me, you're probably trying to figure out how to do better for yourself and how to do better in your relationships with your adult offspring. And you're looking for deeper understanding, right? And I was an estranged parent, so I feel like I can speak about this from both sides of the experience, because I have that experience, not just as a therapist. My daughter and I have been solid for over 20 years. My eldest daughter, that's the one that we had an estrangement for under 3 years. And I've been an estranged daughter over 30 years, and I lost my entire group of relatives. They're not my family. Family stands together. Relatives try to manipulate that, right? I lost everybody. And so I do understand how deeply this emotionally impacts us. And I think part of the bottom line is, if you're the type of parent that when your adult offspring separates from you, their life is better without you, then you probably need to, then that's your cue to look in the mirror and figure out why that is. Because our strongest drive is to want to be in a relationship with our parents. It's such a core need, it's primal. So, all right, let's see what else he's got to say.
You're the one they don't speak to. And while you're sitting here questioning every memory, every decision, every moment as a parent, those grandbabies are learning a script. If my parents ever hurt me, I don't have to talk it out. I don't have to try to repair it. I can just disappear. That doesn't mean your child is evil. It means they are in pain. They are coping the only way they know how. But it also means this cycle can repeat if nobody ever learns another way. You're not just mourning your child. You're mourning the relationship you wish you had with your grandchildren and the pattern you're terrified they might repeat one day. Hearing that, how does it land for you as a parent? Does it make you sad, angry, or numb? Let me know.
I said enough on this one, so we'll just keep going through.
Parents! Today, what I want to talk to you guys about is very, very important. A lot of times as parents who have sons, we come to a situation where our sons get that first piece of golden box. And if it's consistent.
So we're just a golden box. Gets that first piece of golden box. Listen how he refers to women. And he is the father of a daughter and a husband to his wife. And you would, in any part of your brain, refer to a woman as a golden box, a piece of something. Does that look like the enlightened man that we saw on Oprah? Does that, well, you know what? Let's play it all the way through, because I have more things to say about this.
Your word no longer matters. Her word takes over everything. You will lose your son to the first piece of consistent golden box. You know what I mean?
I'm so disgusted. I just don't even, yeah. I would love for your opinions around this. Please leave it in the comments section. Wow, the objectification and dehumanization all in one fatal swoop. I don't know about all you out there. I have 2 daughters and I have a son. And I've never lost my son to a girlfriend or he's now married to his wife. And if I had, it wouldn't be because of who they are. It would be because of how I was not working within the relationship. I haven't lost any of my daughters or son to their partner. And again, if I did, I would need to look at what it was in my part to play that relationship broke down. Because again, as I said earlier, it is our parent, child, parent to an adult. It is a primal bond. It's really hard to break that bond. You've got to really fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, anybody is impervious to manipulation and control and things like that. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying, though, how we react on the other end, maybe when we see our offspring in a relationship with someone that we don't care for, will impact whether or not they come to us or they turn away from us. And again, we are the leaders in our relationship with them because we created the foundation. It's just the laws of nature.
I tell parents this all the time. They no longer hear you. They no longer understand what you're saying to them. But today, guys, I got 4 ways to help you deal with the golden box. So we're going to start off
with the golden box. Also, I'm wondering if this is, something he experienced with his son, who he obviously made comments about, online about how he didn't go to school. It's a miracle he pulled it out. And again, I'll put the screenshot somewhere through this. So basically what we're saying is that young men, because we're talking first relationships, are so malleable and stupid that the minute they start having an intimate physical relationship with someone, they can't think anymore. They can't hear us anymore. They're just stupid. So what did you raise exactly? How did that happen? Where did they learn that? Why did that happen? Make the math. Somebody make the math. And you know what I see a lot of times actually in these dysfunctional kind of family relationships is that when the son or daughter offspring end up in a meaningful relationship, we're not talking about, S blah, 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 right? In a meaningful relationship with someone who actually talks about life and conversations and families and comes from a different dynamic, oftentimes that other perspective gives us the perspective of what was normal or not normal in our own experience with our parents. And when we see somebody else with their parents having a better functioning relationship, it highlights what wasn't going on over here. And maybe the partner says, really? Your dad said that to you? Did you feel kind of like that's kind of mean or whatever it is? It starts to open our eyes. It isn't because all of a sudden we're getting this golden box. And why doesn't it work the other way anyway? It is because we're actually getting contrasting experiences that people like this don't understand how when they parent in a certain way or control in a certain way, it doesn't age well and it doesn't stand the test of time, because unless you're going to keep that child in childhood forever, or as an adult in a prison where they have no contrasting experiences, eventually they're going to be in the light and they're going to realize what was happening behind in their scenes. You know what I mean? So I keep saying, you know what I mean? I'm just like, he sets my hair on fire.
Number 1, don't compete, stay grounded. When a young man gets his first taste of attention and affection, his whole world shifts.
Wow. If your sons or daughters, your offspring, the first time they get a sense of affection and belonging and care is out of having an intimate relationship with someone, you failed as a parent.
You can't compete with that, and you shouldn't. Stay steady, not sarcastic. You want to be the peace he remembers when the storm clears. Number 2, keep the conversation open. He may not listen right now, but your words are landing.
Bad idea. Keep the conversation going. Translation, keep telling him, keep digging at it, keep, right? No, that is actually going to create the divide. Not the person that they're with. Your behavior is going to create the divide because you need to make sure he does or she does or they do what you think is best for them. Keep interfering. Did anybody else hear that way? Because that's how I heard it. So to all my parents out there, and as, you know, a mother to 3 fully formed adults between the ages of 33 and 42 and 2 grandsons, shut the front door. Actually, no. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Unless you feel like there is a physical danger going on, which is a whole nother conversation, shut the fuck up and let it be. And let them learn and let them scrape their knees and let them have their heart break and be there to pick up the pieces. Speaking of pieces, right? Be their support person. Be patient. Trust the person that you raised. Trust them to figure it out. And when they come to you, don't give your hardcore opinion. Ask questions. Are you feeling some kind of way? You know, you can trust your feelings. Build them up to be able to make good decisions for themselves, to identify and trust if they feel like something's wrong, it is. Don't try to browbeat them into submission for your own, you know, what you need in that moment in time. It is difficult to watch our children scrape their knees. It for sure is. I've had to do it. That's a part of life. It's more difficult to be without them because you need to be right and large and in charge and control. At the end of the day, let them scrape their knees and be there with the Band-Aids. And not the I told you so.
Don't stop communicating. Keep it short, honest, and judgment-free. Your calm voice will echo when his world gets loud. Number 3, let experience be his teacher. Sometimes love has to teach what lectures can't. As painful as it feels, let him fall. Just make sure he knows he can come home when it happens.
If he doesn't know that, something's gone sideways, or she, or they. If your offspring doesn't know that you're their soft place to fall and you have to mention it because they're having a relationship that you see as being problematic, that's the problem. I really thought he was going to go in a good direction here. I love the whole idea of show them, don't tell them. Zip it. Leave it be. Be pleasant, be accommodating, be welcoming. Don't do anything that isolates. Even with friends, don't isolate someone that you feel is not in a healthy relationship and distance yourself because that's where they are. You know, be there. If you're their true friend, you ride the wave with them and you let them process, and that's how you show them that you're still their soft place to fall. It's not about the conversations. It's about the actions, you know?
Number 4, model what real love looks like. He's learning from what he sees, not just what you say. Be the example of respect, strength, and stability that he'll one day mirror in his own relationships. You know what I mean? When your son gets his first golden box, his ears stop working. But listen, don't lose hope. Do not lose hope. You guys leave me some comments and let me know what you think.
I'm going to put a couple of his videos at the end of this video. I don't want to break him down anymore. I'm burnt out from him. I think that the examples that I've used speak enough for themselves and what he really is about and how he looks at daughters and sons and all of that. I think that that's enough background to, you know, give balance to the Aaron that we saw on the Oprah show. And I've covered him before, so I'll actually even link this video in the description to other things that I've covered on him, which will expand on that as well, which will show you who he is, you know, based on his own words, not based on my opinion. I kind of gave a little bit of a physical, visual response when he said lead by example and all of that, you know, that observational learning that children do. And yes, as adults, they're still looking to us as their role models. That's pretty hardwired in. However, the observational learning is really happening when they're growing up and they're developing. And if the bond hasn't been created that you are the soft place to fall, you are their safe person, you're the person that they can talk to about life things. If it hasn't been instilled into them to understand they can trust their own feelings and make decisions and how they should be expected to be treated by others and under what circumstances they should provide others access to them. Those are those things that we role model when they're growing up. That's the stuff that becomes hardwired. And it's when that stuff is not there and it's upside down that we end up in therapy as adults to learn it, because we didn't get it from where we should have gotten it from. And so the way that he's speaking about it, it still sounds like he's the parent of a child, and a dumb one at that. So, yeah. Okay. Let me know what else you would like to see. I think now I have covered all of the estranged parents that were on this show. I'm really thinking this through. If I missed anybody, I will be featuring them next because my brain is a little bit fuzzy, but it was Aaron. It was Christy. It was Kelly. Is that her name? I know their screen names really, really well. I think those were the 3 estranged parents. And again, if I'm wrong, I'll make another video. I'm not there right now. Who would you like to see me feature? Who else from the show would you like me to talk about? I'm definitely going to talk about Dr. Coleman, and that could be why I'm thinking another estranged parent. That could be who I'm missing out on. I'm happy to feature anybody else. The reason that I'm going and featuring the estranged parents first is because they weren't transparent. They weren't made to be transparent, and because of how the show was handled. Whereas the estranged adult sons and daughters and offspring that were on the show, they were transparent. It wasn't like they were cherry picking or you had to pull things out of them sort of thing. They were as transparent and forthcoming as time allowed, right? That sort of thing. And Oprah did question them in ways that I don't feel she questioned the estranged parents, particularly Aaron. So that's where we are. Anyone you want me to cover, I'll do it though. Okay. I'm here for you. Thanks so much for being here. Also, if you want healing tips, more personalized content based on your comments and what you're looking for, what you need, hit the join button on this video and you can find out details about other things that I offer here on YouTube. I'll see you soon.
Parents, let's be real today, y'all. A lot of these adult kids, they don't want a parent. They want a provider with no opinion. A lot of these grown kids don't want a parent. They want a provider, a babysitter for their bills, a sounding board with no opinion. And the moment you say something that they don't like, now you're the problem. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. How do you keep showing up when they only want the version of you that stays quiet? Y'all leave me a comment and let me know. Parents. Dr. Coleman said something on the Oprah podcast that stopped me in my tracks. He said when an adult child goes no contact with their parents and then they go on to have children of their own, they're quietly teaching those kids this is an option. This is how you handle a parent when you are hurt. You can cut them off. And I need you to sit with that for a second. Because a lot of you watching this are the parents on the receiving end of the no contact. You are the one who raised them, wiped their tears, showed up to the games, worked double shifts, and now you're the one they don't speak to. And while you're sitting here questioning every memory, every decision, every moment as a parent, those grandbabies are learning a script. If my parents ever hurt me, I don't have to talk it out. I don't have to try to repair it. I can just disappear. That doesn't mean your child is evil. It means they are in pain. They are coping the only way they know how. But it also means this cycle can repeat if nobody ever learns another way. You're not just mourning your child. You're mourning the relationship you wish you had with your grandchildren and the pattern you're terrified they might repeat one day. Hearing that, how does it land for you as a parent? Does it make you sad, angry, or numb? Let me know in the comments because you don't have to hold all of that by yourself. Y'all leave me a comment. Parents! Today, what I want to talk to you guys about is very, very important. A lot of times as parents who have sons, we come to a situation where our sons get that first piece of golden box. And if it's consistent, your word no longer matters. Her word takes over everything. You will lose your son to the first piece of consistent golden box. You know what I mean? I tell parents this all the time. They no longer hear you. They no longer understand what you're saying to them. But today, guys, I got 4 ways to help you deal with the golden box. So we're going to start off like this. Number 1, don't compete, stay grounded. When a young man gets his first taste of attention and affection, his whole world shifts. You can't compete with that, and you shouldn't. Stay steady, not sarcastic. You want to be the peace he remembers when the storm clears. Number 2, keep the conversation open. He may not listen right now, but your words are landing. They just haven't sprouted yet. Don't stop communicating. Keep it short, honest, and judgment-free. Your calm voice will echo when his world gets loud. Number 3, let experience be his teacher. Sometimes love has to teach what lectures can't. As painful as it feels, let him fall. Just make sure he knows he can come home when it happens. Number 4, model what real love looks like. He's learning from what he sees, not just what you say. Be the example of respect, strength, and stability that he'll one day mirror in his own relationships. You know what I mean? When your son gets his first golden box, his ears stop working, But listen, don't lose hope. Do not lose hope. You guys leave me some comments and let me know what you think.